Yo, today's show is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Your online activity should not be public, so protect yourself at expressvpn.com/achievement.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It's another Off Topic. You guessed it. We're back for more. Hope you're ready. I'm your host. Michael's gone this week, but I'm Lindsay Jones. This is Jeff Ramsey.
I don't think I did this anymore.
No?
No, you don't.
Well, it's been a long time.
We snapped you back in. Welcome back. It's the second movie.
Great to be here.
Matt, you're snapped back also. Welcome. Sarah, you've always been here. Hello.
I'm here just for the briefest moment of time.
You avoided the snap. Goodness.
I did.
I will say this show is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Stop putting your online data at risk. Get protected at expressvpn.com/RTTV. And for all y'all watching, anyone who isn't watching live, remember you can watch us every Thursday, right on time at 3:04 p.m. Central. That is what was written here. Tyler is nodding his head in agreement. It is 3:04 p.m. Central, right here on the Rooster Teeth site or on your phone and living room apps. Cheers.
Yeah, speaking of that ExpressVPN thing, protect your spoons, protect your thimbles. That's all
What's
I'll
up
say.
with the thimbles and spoons?
Is this whole thing just going to be you making references
Yeah,
to
that we
fuckface?
don't understand.
Oh boy.
What is spoons and thimbles have to
Oh,
do
I
with
don't know. I'm
fuckface?
just assuming it has to do with fuckface.
Well, you'd be correct. But that's,
It's like every third...
when I do the ExpressVPN ads over on my podcast, Fuckface,
Yeah.
I have a whole running narrative. Well, it's not a narrative because it's true. Well, maybe it's true, maybe it's not
A
true.
narrative can become true because you make it true.
It's possible that I collect.
not really
I am
Sarah's
a
working for
member.
yellow journalism.
It's possible. It's possible that that I am a member of a secretive community of people that collect and trade decorative spoons and ceramic and metal thimbles
Jeff, you're describing
of
the
locations.
borrowers.
But
You're part of
Wait, thimbles of locations?
No.
yeah, like you can get location-based thimbles.
Like,
you
you
can
know
get
what
like a
thimbles
little
are?
decorative
No,
thimble.
I understand what a thimble
that says
is.
like
But he said
Buckingham Palace.
location-based thimble.
Yeah.
Is that really a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not as much a thing as they used to be, but like they're a thing that people collect
I'm with
thimbles
you,
based
Matt.
off of place.
Like spoons, I guess.
Spoons
I
and
could,
plates,
I could
that's all I
get.
knew.
Yeah, like
Thimbles.
Thimbles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you
You've
sew?
just never gone to a gas station because that's where they're at.
I
Yeah, I've never gone to a gas station. Been driving for like
In the middle of bumfuck
15
nowhere that's
years.
never been bought out.
No,
Sarah,
because
I
they only
lived in
exist.
bumfuck nowhere.
Well, then you just didn't pay attention.
Then you
Thimble
have
pride.
thimbles.
Yeah.
You have
I guess I
Exactly.
do. I've got loads of thimbles.
I was like, you asked Jeff, do you sew? And he was gearing up to answer. I'm like, Jeff likes the idea of sewing.
Yeah,
I don't think
I like the idea of sewing.
Exactly.
I like to sew. I don't like to start sewing, and I don't like to end sewing. I'm a big fan of the middle.
Really?
I could middle it for hours. I just don't want the beginning and the end.
It's good therapeutic.
Middle
like,
it for hours.
I don't want to thread the needle and tie it. I don't like that part. And I don't like at the end when we get past all the hard work I've done sewing it, then I have to do some sort of a complicated stitch well, or a month from now it'll undo all of that hard work. I've never felt good about that part, so I always hand it off to somebody.
I'm so
See,
intrigued
the stress of that is
because
why I don't do the middle either.
the knotting
Interesting.
of the thread is one of the easiest things a part of sewing.
That's what you say.
What's your technique? Do you do the under, like one time into the fabric and then you make a loop-de-loop, go under one more time, tie it off?
What I do is you do a stitch and you shove the needle under and then you wrap thread around the needle and then you pull the needle out and it makes a knot.
All right. Yeah. Jeff's like, damn it. See, I'm stuck in the middle. I'm still middling over here. I never finished.
It's the same as hearing fucking Trevor talk about engineering. It's all Greek to me.
Sorry, Jeff.
It all just sounds complicated.
Barely
knot.
so. I just
Yeah,
learned that at
yeah.
home ec
I didn't take
home
home
ec.
ec.
in middle school.
No, I didn't take middles.
I took one course of home.
He didn't take middle school.
Yeah, I
He
didn't
didn't
take it.
Good on you, Matt. Don't know about thimbles, that's why.
Well,
yeah.
that's exactly
Never
it.
learned.
Like, you couldn't figure it out.
See, the funny thing is
Rocket
that
science.
Damn it.
home ec in my middle school got like canceled because they're like, oh, what a waste of money. And the home ec teacher became a gym teacher,
Oh.
which just felt,
Why would he?
no, it was a woman. And it was just like, didn't make sense. I was just like,
Well, it's the same
Wait,
thing.
you don't think she can have two passions?
I don't
Gym
think
and
she
home ec?
did. I think she was very unhappy and we just wanted a job.
Well, it's the same thing with like gym teachers or I guess coaches. They're like, hey, yo, why don't you teach economics and history? Like, do you know
I made
that
joke in a
subject
video
well?
this week, yeah. I'm like, poor budgeting at schools is like, you kind of know Spanish. Trying to get in there.
Dude, I had a history teacher that he loved American history. He talked about it all the time, except he was drunk every single day. Like, you could smell it on him, and he would just like, yeah, you know, I'm drunk in the morning, and the people that had him in the afternoon were like, he's an angry teacher.
The American experience.
No, he's a lot of fun. I don't know what you're
boy.
talking about.
Oh no. Do you ever, I'm sure we all have stories where we think back and we're like, that was really fucked up of my teacher to do that. Or like, how was this allowed in schooling? Geoff, I can only imagine with you growing up earlier than we did. What was allowed at your school? What can we share that won't
I've told
cause lawsuits?
I've told so many stories over the year about what it was like to go to school in Alabama in the 80s and the 90s, but I will say it was very different than today. And without retreading, and I don't want to do that thing they always bitched about Bernie doing, where they're just like, oh, here he is telling the same fucking story again, you know.
Word for word, usually.
So, well, he's a robot. He just hit play on that tape. I'll be remiss to go too deep in it, but like there was a school shooting in my school I was in 11th grade, and the kid got suspended.
Damn.
He didn't get expelled. He shot a kid in the thigh. There was one time in 10th grade, I was sitting in class, and a girl got called to the principal, and I was like, we were all like, ooh, you're in trouble.
That's what you do.
And when she came back, I was like, what happened? What'd you do? And she was like, pfft. Teacher walked by my car in the parking lot and saw my gun on the floorboard, and they were just like, you got to secure that.
Yeah, ideally.
It's in the car.
You have to secure it.
Yeah. So it's like, they're like, put it under the seat. And she was like, I guess it just slipped out. And they're like, no problem, just kick it back under. Like, that's what it was like to go to school in Alabama in the 80s and the 90s. Guns were like there.
We've
People
all
were
had our
shooting
guns
each
slip
other.
out. Come
People had
on.
it flat, and nobody. Now it's like you bring a decorative knife as a part of a kilt to a ceremonial dress to school, and you get expended, or you get expended and suspelled. You get expended or suspelled.
It's that harsh. Yeah.
And I feel like there's a story behind that too.
Suspelled.
Which maybe you could tell. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I just read that on the news like 10 years
really?
ago.
Okay.
Yeah, just and
It
some
seems
kid
like
got
something you would
expelled.
dress Millie up for, like for school. You go that hard for like parental projects.
Now that you say that, like even when I went to school, it was like somebody did a bomb threat at my middle school, and we all had to evacuate to the elementary school down the road. So we were all like and it was Colorado, so it was snowing, and we're all like on the field, like and having to walk miles, and it was just a bomb threat. It wasn't even accurate, but like the kid just got suspended.
Well, dude,
We had something like
I didn't
that
even
too,
think about
where
that.
we didn't get to evacuate to anywhere. We just went outside and played like basketball and stuff. But yeah,
I think it was
that
just because it was
Just got
snowing,
suspended.
and they were like, we can't leave these people outside.
no hyperbole, but I would take every threat in the state of Colorado seriously when it came to that stuff.
Yeah. Colorado has a track
Something going on
record
in Colorado,
similar to
man.
Texas.
Yeah, because that was it was like, because I've always really been into like going to movies at midnight, and I've been doing it since the first Twilight movie. So like every big movie since then, that's the reference. Yeah. I remember but I never was a big DC person. So like I didn't go see Batman, but so many people were like, hi, are you okay? And I was like, what the fuck happened?
When I was in high school, the original Batman came out, Michael Keaton Batman, on my birthday. So I went to see it on my birthday.
Yeah.
I think I was probably turned 16 or 17. And so we went to see it. It was also when Boys in the Hood came out. And I watched Batman, had a lovely time, came out with my friends to a parking lot full of cop cars and shit. And I was like, what is going on? Apparently there was a drive-by shooting at the movie theater because of Boys in the Hood, created some sort of controversy. And there was like a shooting in the parking lot. Didn't disrupt the movie at all. Like they didn't evacuate us or anything. We just watched the movie and then came out and were like, holy fuck, it's a crime scene. Weird.
Jeez.
It's always weird to like, I've had instances like that where you're like happening upon a crime scene, or like it was like 6 degrees from you, and you're like, what the fuck was happening
what just
around
happened
me?
right here?
For example, when I came home from college one day, I was living in an apartment with my friend on like the east side of Austin, down like further south down toward the river, but
Like Riverside?
close to that area.
Okay.
Yeah. But I came back and it smelled like gun discharge basically, and I was like, what the fuck? Why does it smell so much like gunpowder? This is weird. So I came upstairs, my roommate was hiding in her room. I'm like, hey, what's going on? She's like, oh, did you not hear all that? I'm like, no, I just got back from class. What's up? And she was like, oh, our neighbors across the way got busted for selling crack. And there was like a SWAT team busted. And I was like, oh, fuck. Anyways, let's do homework. Like, yeah. So please on at 7.
Anyway, that's great and all, but we have a psych exam at 9 a.m.
Yeah, basically.
So
priorities, girlfriend.
I was in college. There was something else that happened in my dorm. So I went to NAU, and the year I went, there was like a shooting in the parking lot of my dorm. And that was when I like, and it was like there was something going on with like frat boys and like something or another, and
It was rush week.
yeah, but and I think, and it was like the whole dorm went on lockdown because they didn't know if like the guy was in the dorm or something, and like it was the weirdest thing because apparently modern fire alarms are also speakers, and so like the resident hall director like was like, everybody lock your door, stay inside, and it was like coming from the fire alarm, and I was like, the fuck?
That's how they're
Sarah's
listening
like,
to
the
you.
machines are taking over.
Yeah, it was like what the hell? And it was like 3 a.m. I was like watching YouTube.
Everybody's
they're
all
only
like-
supposed to activate when there was a fire. That's the thing.
Everybody's all like,
always
fucking get away from your phone. They're tracking you. But they're standing right next to a fire alarm the entire time. They have no idea.
I know.
It was just terrifying because I was
They
like,
turn the phone off and then the camera zooms to a fire alarm right behind them. Like, you
Yeah.
got.
Big Brother looks a lot like McGruff.
the world's a scary place.
Yeah,
That's the moral of the story.
I never thought I would be like near a high-speed chase, but
Okay.
I was near one. I was coming home at like 2 a.m. or so from a friend's house. Casey was with me, and we got to like an intersection, and we see the car fly by and like 3 cop cars, and I'm like, oh my god, that's what that is. I've seen so many things in the news. Like we would be in the tape where he's running. He popped a U-turn and like started to turn back around. Our light turned green, and I like looked to the left, saw him, and I was like, well, I'm not going. The guy to my left didn't. He just got like T-boned.
But did he stop the bad guy?
He stopped the bad guy because that car gave up
hero.
after that. Like it tried to keep going, but it didn't go. And I'm just like sitting there like, all right, well, yeah, he's okay. He got out of the car. We should probably be getting going.
Yeah, it's fine. Just slowly move along.
Yeah, I was just
you
like,
ever-
it's all okay. I'm gonna just go.
Have you ever seen the recorded footage of the llamas that escaped the zoo from Arizona? It is the best like piece of content on the internet.
Was
It's
that
like-
not national coverage during the time of the dress debacle?
It
Whether or
was.
not
Yes, it was.
The highlight of the internet for a while was like, what the fuck color is this dress? And
And then
llamas.
Yeah, it was like there was like 3 llamas just running across like the interstates in Arizona, and people were getting out their cars trying to chase them, and like people put it to like that circus sense, like dun 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 dun. It's like it is supreme content, and it's like so many people would just almost get the llamas and then like try and jump and then just fall on their ass as the llamas zoom past. That's peak.
Someone layered it over with a Reno 911 audio, so it's all them going like, oh. Llama's like, fuck off.
Do you guys see that there's I think it's real. I don't think it was like a fake poster, but there's
The
a
new
Reno
Reno?
9/11 movie.
I think it
it's
is
going to be
real.
like they're taking on QAnon or something.
I'm so excited.
God.
Yeah, it's like on a cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cruise ship
yeah.
of some sort.
Cruise ship.
I would love to see that.
I would love it.
Obviously, some of Reno was a little dated in its humor, and I'm
Sure.
like, oh, yikes. But I think it's going to be exciting to see that kind of humor, and the improvisational dynamics between the cast is just so great and very reminiscent of Achievement Hunter, I think.
You know, it's funny you say that. I've been. I started to listen, or the new season of Always Sunny started, and it's been a couple of years, I think. And you know, we have this like rich love of Always Sunny, and you know, we've watched.
Oh yeah, it's ingrained into
It's
culture,
ingrained into age culture,
basically,
right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because you go back and you watch so much of it in the past now, and you're like, that's a little dicey. Anyway, the new season launched, and one of the things that's interesting about it is, first off, it's very funny and very good, and it doesn't feel like they've lost a step. They feel like they're right in their groove, but they do a really good job of making fun of themselves for their past selves and, and their past kind of dumb humor, and in a way that makes it feel like they're recognizing it and trying to move forward with it in kind of a funny way. But also, yeah, exactly. Also, they have a podcast, and far be it from me to promote other people's podcasts.
No, go ahead,
but they have a podcast they recently started, and I was on the fence about listening to it because, you know, sometimes you get a little bit too much access to your favorite entertainers when you're not used to it, and then you find out they're a little, you know, I don't know.
Like, you're telling me.
Like, I don't want to find out the one, like, I don't know, you know, but yeah, exactly,
When you
right?
find out that Tom
Never meet
Holland
your
is
heroes.
maybe not the brightest bulb in the box, and you're just like, oh,
Or that, like,
this is not as
or that, like,
Trevor.
Trevor's such a tremendous piece of shit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the worst.
And you're like, oh my God,
And I've known
he
him
seems
for
so nice
years
on the
before
internet,
I found
right?
that out.
Dude, don't get me started on Dirk. He's
Well,
ass.
it's a rearview mirror on Dirk, right? We all learned a lot of lessons there. Anyway, but their podcast, the premise is each episode they just talk about they watch an episode and they talk about it. But it's really just like an off topic, just shooting the shit.
That's really cool.
But it's just Glenn, Charlie, and Mac, and I don't know where, or Rob, I don't know where Caitlin is. She's not in it. But it is, I have never listened to another podcast from a different entity or different organization and thought, that's us.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
really?
it sounds like Rooster
That's funny.
Teeth.
Is it their characters? making
They
the
are their
podcast?
characters. But it just sounds like Rooster Teeth. It sounds like our sensibilities. It sounds like our sense of humor. It sounds like our interplay. It sounds like our chemistry. It just felt so familiar in such an awesome, endearing way that I recommend it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like to imagine that as you listen to it, a smile slowly grew on your face. Like this is familiar.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really did. It was almost like reconnecting with old friends.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We talked about like with Achievement Hunter, and I'm sure Sarah, you can agree too with like OT3. Is that
Come listen to my podcast.
yeah, you should. We'll talk about promoting podcasts.
Saturday.
Yeah, yeah.
OT3
Not
is
even
great
like
too.
asking, just do
We
it.
talk about fan fiction and
You
shit.
should.
I'd love to do your podcast.
You have.
We're still ourselves. It's not like we're lying or anything, but we're like
Yeah.
heightened versions of ourselves. So it's like Lindsay amplified, I guess is how I feel when I'm in content. I don't know if you're the same way. Or you just
it's
like whip out
Ultra
full
Instinct
nerd.
Lindsay.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I hope so. If Shaggy taught me anything, it was how to be
Yeah.
our best self. This episode of Off Topic is brought to you by DoorDash. The holidays are upon us, and sure, they're the most wonderful time of year, but they're also stressful as hell. I know that. Between all the shopping, traveling, baking, planning, and whatever else you're up to, there's barely time to do something as simple as putting dinner on the table. So let DoorDash make things a little bit easier tonight. Because DoorDash brings you what you want to eat right now, right to your door. With DoorDash, you can get dinner, household essentials, and everything on your grocery list delivered right now and right to your door in under an hour. With over 300,000 partners, you can support your neighborhood go-tos or choose from your favorite national restaurants like Popeyes, Chipotle, and Cheesecake Factory. Ordering is easy, and your items will be left safely outside your door when you choose contactless delivery drop-off. Now, I got slammed on the way home last week, had to order DoorDash, and it was easy as hell. Didn't have to worry about anything else. It was right to my door. Beautiful. For a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and use code OFFTOPIC2021. That's 25% off up to a $10 value and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code OFFTOPIC2021. Don't forget, that's OFFTOPIC2021 for 25% off your first order with DoorDash. Subject to change, terms apply.
Were you going to say something earlier, Sarah? I felt like I cut you.
Yeah, please.
No, I was just saying, listen to my podcast.
Oh, okay.
That's all. I was like, hey, please, I wanted to survive, so listen to it.
Here's what we can talk about because Michael's not here. How was the Vampire Diaries episode?
It was so fucking funny.
Okay.
Michael was on the episode before last week, and it was him talking about Vampire Diaries. And the funniest thing was that we kept getting distracted, and he was like the most knowledgeable of it all. And so he kept going on these rants about, oh, well, this character and this, and like, oh, no, you're wrong. This is what it is. And then the best part was like afterwards, we all were done, and we're all just like separate ways. And me and Ashley are back at our desks, and I just hear Michael goes, "Fuck, I didn't talk about Elijah. He's my favorite character." And it was like he just got so mad, and I was like, "We asked you what your favorite character was, dude. What are you?"
Too late. You had your chance.
I recommend you have him on again someday because it sounds like there's more to cover, and I checked the analytics.
Oh,
that episode did very well for you guys.
good.
It
Yeah,
did.
it was a
did.
very high performing. Probably your highest performing episode.
Oh, absolutely.
Michael could do 20 podcasts of Vampire Diaries lore. Like,
Yeah.
he loves that show. Hey. Straighten out.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey, we were talking about you earlier.
What the hell? Why are you running away from me? Why am I?
Yeah, you can't leave. You have the Achieve shirt on. We have to promote it.
Here.
Oh.
Promoting
Dance.
the shirt and then the hoodie.
Check this out. Just kidding. Fuck that. Buy Mothman. He's a vigilante.
You could buy-
He's a hero.
You could buy. You could buy Mothman,
this.
or you could buy
Or you could buy.
No, because you can buy. Life's too short to give a shit.
No.
It's too short.
No.
It's winter. You're gonna freeze to death in a t-shirt. It's fucking stupid. Buy it in June. That's the kid you buy.
When life ends, it's over. It's it. That's it. It's not short.
Would
It's
Mothman
long.
like a
I
sip
also
from
love
our
a
new
cheese.
mug?
But right now,
cheese.
I'm arguing between my
Maybe
children and this.
Coyote would like
What did I
some.
say?
Oh my.
Already ready to put that on my
No way. You're kicking kickers over
I
here.
definitely kicked over like half the life.
I have a Rick and Morty hoodie.
You have a Rick and Morty hoodie, yeah.
Anyway,
Thanks,
See,
Sarah.
we can't have nice things, but you
Bye.
can.
Hey, you know
Go to the
them.
store.
Listen to my podcast. Oh, God.
You should.
thanks, Sarah.
Bye.
Adieu.
Anyway,
She's lovely.
some bullshit if you want to buy. If you're looking for some bullshit to buy with your money, if you're like, this money's burning a hole in my pocket and I need some
That's all of us these days.
Just need some bullshit.
Cash
I
flowing out the ass.
got an empty hand, and where bullshit should be, I have none.
Jeff, where do I get all my bullshit?
We can provide you your bullshit.
Trevor-
Store.roosterteeth.com.
When I awoke this morning in my 4-story mansion, I thought to myself, how much merchandise can I fill this place with? And Jeff Ramsey just let me know.
I need new
That was the
installation.
most relatable thing I think you've ever said.
I'm very relatable. Find me on Instagram.
Can I say for the record, because I'm in a mode, I'm in a place in my life where I want to spread cheer, and I want to congratulate people. I want to
Spread positivity.
compliment people when they
Yeah,
deserve
do it, please.
I have noticed something over the last 4 months or so that we have been in and out of this building, and I come in occasionally to spend time with you guys. And that is, no matter what, if I come into RT and Lindsay is here and I perform with them, whether it be a off topic like today or a Minecraft Let's Play or whatever, I will laugh harder at one thing Lindsay says than anything else the rest of the day.
Thanks,
Lindsay-
Lindsay always gets me with one joke.
Lindsay has this very tremendous skill. Close your ears for a second. I'm going to say
sure.
some very
Hang on,
kind
I'm gonna
things.
text.
No, Lindsay has this like
I would never say that to her face.
unique skill. Yeah, I would never tell them.
Why
in
wouldn't you
person.
say that?
Of like just like having these amazing one-liners that I would never have thought of. These
Yeah.
very clever jokes in the moment that
Always catches me
sometimes
off
sneak
guard.
under the radar amidst all the chaos that is Achievement Hunter, right?
Thanks.
So it's like there'd be times where I'll just be sitting there playing. Like I think there was a recent Minecraft where you snuck in this mermaid joke in particular.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it was on the pirate ship. I don't know if that hasn't come out yet as of recording this, but
That video was great. As a whole.
me
It was good energy.
cackling,
all
just
around.
randomly. I'd just be like, do a little Easter egg for what we did, and then just
Fish and Jamboree.
That was really fun.
whoa.
Why would you tell them?
Jeff's allowed. Jeff's allowed to say it.
It's like the 90th one we've done.
All that being said, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, seriously,
No.
Lindsay, I cannot stress enough.
I like
I mean,
that you say that too, because that's my train of thought internally the entire time. So this place has allowed me to just make jokes like
That's
that.
great.
Yeah, so thanks.
You always give me my biggest laugh of the day.
Thanks.
So I appreciate that.
In said video, I don't think it's a spoiler, but I made a joke that was very referential to like 80s pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I laughed at like just the fact that half of the room went, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And then Jeff and Jack were like, ha 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 ha, yeah. It's like, fuck yeah, awesome. It's a good
I
day.
was like, you have joined the OGs.
I'm cool with that.
Sometimes those jokes just go. I'm like, that was for someone, and someone will
it
appreciate
wasn't
it.
Lindsay
me.
has
But I'm ignorant.
Lindsay has an ability to straddle generations, which I don't know how
Damn
you do
right.
it, but like, because
With
you're of the
permission.
same,
Yeah,
you're of the
yeah,
same
yeah.
generation of
Thank
these
you. Thank you
idiots.
for clarifying.
But you are able to touch the 80s and the 70s in a a way that the other people don't.
Again,
It definitely
the
tickles in the lights,
phrasing-
Jack.
the phrasing
Touching
could have been
in the
better.
90s. No, I'm liking it.
It's okay.
It's a very intimate relationship. I like it. Yeah. No, but it's true. I grew up with like reruns of like 70s and 80s cartoons and just like movies, TV shows. But then I'm a kid of the internet, so I can connect with like Trevor and Matt on dumbass like YouTube poop shit. And then the only area that I'm kind of having trouble with now is like the Gen Z humor with like, I don't know, Fiona. And sometimes Kai, I'm like, I'm lost.
Yeah.
Or
Give an
old.
example.
Usually it's like,
They're lost.
yeah.
Oh.
Usually it's
How
like,
do you
sorry,
do that?
references to newer media
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
some show that I just happen to be on the tail end of. Like I got Neopets, I got Winx, I got like stuff like that. But then after that, I'm like, ooh, like
Is
little,
Neopets new media?
like new, see,
Yeah,
newish.
see, I would consider it not because
Newer.
you know mine should be dead, but they're not.
Yeah.
Well, that
Beat
doesn't
'em.
make them old or.
Well, no, it
I-
definitely makes them old.
We're talking post Neopets, the PNP era. I'm not familiar with that.
I think that if I had my original Neopets account, there might be a Neopet older than my sister,
Oh my God.
and she just graduated college, so like.
Yeah.
That's an old
What's your
Neopet's probably a
Neopet
doctor.
done?
It's done absolutely nothing. I was
Yeah.
expecting to collect on that
Disappointed.
thing.
Jeff,
were
yes,
supposed to
like,
pay
oh,
me.
I was just gonna say I watch a lot of Gen Z humor through
Yeah.
my daughter, you know,
Oh, yeah.
who is now 16 and participates in it. And I don't mean this to be insulting to Gen Z at all, but I feel like that the best way I could describe it, at least looking through the lens of the 16-year-olds that I see in America, is that they're ironic. And all the humor is ironic, but they don't understand where the irony comes from or why.
Oh, really?
It's like it's irony without a point.
Yeah.
Is how I would describe it. And that could be my clueless old man, like, I don't know what I'm talking about, get off my lawn. But that's like my assessment
Yeah.
as I've just like lived as a fly on the wall.
Sure.
You know, around that
I
era.
think I saw a TikTok the other day that was actually, I think it like dissected it pretty well, interestingly, at least to me. And they were talking about the fact that, you know, as the generations go on, it really kind of started with millennials and the advent of the internet and really its popularity, and then social media coming into play, and then that's where Web 2.0 really kicks off, right? And then Gen Z was birthed in the midst of all that, raised in the midst of all of that.
Well, it's the first generation to be of
the
social
internet.
media.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And from that, I mean, again, it's like the societal like graduation. You see this exponential growth of, you know, overstimulating. All right, like there's a lot of people on TikTok talking about a lot of mental health disorders and stuff, and I think that's very healthy. That's not an area I'm diving into, but also within that is like ADHD and the very open and honest conversation about that. And whether people are self-diagnosing or what have you, that is something that has either become more popular to talk about or just more frequent. And I think that could be both.
Yeah.
But it's also certainly exacerbated by the fact that our neurotransmitters, our serotonin, our minds have been hacked, because every time you go into social media it's that. Everything is accessible, boom, right at the tip of your fingers, and everything is stimulating you all the time. And all that is to say is it kind of back informs who we are as people. So when it comes to humor, and I think that I see this even in the Achieve on Our Office, and it kind of highlights the evolution of our comedy in a way, is since we're being overstimulated, our minds are always racing and wandering. And so when you are watching a comedy sketch, for example, your mind is always racing as to, you picture it as like a flow chart. Where could this go? And at every decision that is made in the script, in this sketch, it is locking you into a concrete path. But you are still ideating on where this could go and what other jokes could be out there within the confines of this sketch. And so really what tickles younger millennials or Gen Z, to kind of generalize, but this is where this TikTok was headed, was our minds are so racing that what really gets our minds to pop and what really tickles us beyond that already heightened sensational whatever is non sequiturs, something that's very random, even if it's things that we don't understand.
To catch you off guard.
Something that really catches you off guard that you can't predict, because our minds are already racing so much and thinking about all these different paths that things could go, to then completely switch gears and shove it off into left field. It's just like, it's so strange that it makes you laugh. And
see, I like that mixed with a tiny little bit of connection. Like Weird Al is great at that. Foil is a great example of that. Throughout the duration of the song, you think he's singing about one thing, and it's about like wrapping sandwiches in tin foil or how to best preserve food. All that to say, at the end, like he starts to get a little weird with it, and you're like, where are you going with this, Weird Al? And it all comes back to him wearing tinfoil hats to avoid conspiracy theories. Like he's worried about like alien invasion and shit like that. But I was like, that's genius and a great musical shift, like tonally, but also kind of in that same vein of humor where Gen Zers would go, wow, that was very random and kind of abrupt. Like what a tone shift. But I like that there's a nugget of connection where you can go, like that was the payoff. That's why I'm waiting this long for this moment. So I don't know. Something like that I can think of is Mike Diva is great at that too. I like his humor quite a bit. This is the difference between you and Jack, is that inspired me to do things like Roof Boat with my editing. Geoff seemed to enjoy that. Jack, not so much. Jack's not big on the cut to dubstep and crazy flashing lights edit, but teach their own.
Yeah, I mean, there's another thought that I've been kind of thinking about over this last year and a half of isolation and heavy social media use and paying attention to more and more things, I think it's a huge positive, but it's also a huge detriment, and it's teach their own on how you really want to feel about it. But the evolution of the internet has exposed algorithms and ever advancing algorithms, and so what happens is, on one hand, you end up entrenched in whether it's opinions or humor types, or I don't get exposure to as many of these kind of new shows, and so I don't have the opportunity to miss the joke because it's not really served to me. I think I can understand Gen Z humor But like if they're referencing a show that came out in the late 2000s or in the teens, I probably wouldn't get it because I probably haven't seen it. But it's also not being fed to me. And so what happens is, there's entrenchment of views and opinions, which is one thing, but then you also get this comfort zone because you are now with like-minded individuals who have a very similar sense of humor, whereas when I grew up, it might be made fun of because no one really got my humor in my classroom, and that's just 30 people. Whereas now you can find anywhere on the internet people that have a very similar whether it's, again, opinions or ideation or senses of humor.
Comedic aesthetic.
Comedic aesthetic, physical aesthetic, clothing, right? And so people can now be much more comfortable in their own skin because they can find these pockets of people that share that very niche idea. And again, there are very huge ups and downs to that kind of world.
It's kind of democratized entertainment in a way, right?
Yeah, but I think
it's a continual iteration of that democratization, which started with the internet in the 90s. But it kind of harkens back to, I believe, what's called Jeffersonian democracy, which is Thomas Jefferson's idea of democracy was a country full of cottage industries, very small mom and pop stores, restaurants, comedy houses, whatever, that created just enough to survive, but also to help their localized community of like-minded people. And I feel like we're there with entertainment. Like if you like a thing, whatever it is, there's a community for you online, and there's somebody in that community that is making a living doing it, or many people that are making a living doing it, because because it doesn't take a lot, right? You just need to find enough like-minded individuals that are into the same thing that you're into, and you've created this micro entertainment world.
It provides exposure. I'm just going to say, it provides exposure to those micro bubbles too, which is important to the evolution of society.
Talk about micro bubbles as well. No, please. I feel like nerdcore or anything described as nerdy prior to the internet now is mainstream. And I'm wondering if before that, like we still have cult classic films, but do you feel like that was kind of like it scratched that itch for people seeking out media that was a little bit different, a little skewed?
We're like, ooh, this speaks to me.
All the Donnie Darko fans out there,
I don't know that the idea of the cult. It's interesting you say cult classic because I don't know that the idea of a cult classic works in the current landscape, right? I mean, I
was trying to think of like what do we describe now as a cult classic? Things that come to mind for me, like growing up, is like Empire Records, Donnie Darko. I know I mentioned that already.
Anything David Lynch that I was obsessed with.
So do you think like so are you saying like do you think cult classics as a concept is like when you look in the rearview mirror that it fades away in the past 30 years-ish? But do you think that moves with you?
No, I think it's more...
Or do you think that they're like, if we go 50 years from now, that there won't really be cult classics from now? Is that what you're saying?
I think the latter.
I think the latter, yeah.
Okay.
I as well. Because I feel like cult classics existed and flourished because there wasn't a network for people of discoverability, right?
So when the counterculture movement, right?
Yeah, and the counterculture movement. Like it probably started, honestly, even though I don't like it, and I'll get hits for that, but with Rocky Horror.
Get out.
Right? I get it. I think I'm just...
I love Rocky Horror.
I know, most people, and I come from theater people, and I have tons of fans, theater friends, and, I had a world of living in and around theater for a very long time. But I just never connected with Rocky Horror. I appreciate it.
I remember you and Michael bonding over not connecting on the movie. You're like, I hate it too!
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, you're hired.
But it was a great example of like, here's this piece of counterculture where people are dressing in drag, and they're singing really songs about themes that are verboten at the time, and it's over the top, and it's a crazy wild send-up. And what it did was inspire audiences to show up at midnights around theaters around the country to experience in the joy of this thing, and then to sing along and to go with all that and to dress up. It's early cosplay. It's like it's like the genesis of and there's probably a version that I'm not aware of that's before Rocky Horror that somebody's like, yeah, it was Reefer Madness, asshole. That's or whatever it is, But it really kind of allowed that thing to thrive was that it wasn't readily available. You couldn't just go online and see the thing that you're into. And so it traveled around the country, and it had this life on its own, and it continued over and over. And I just don't think that there's a need for that anymore, because the internet as a distributive platform serves up anything we want whenever we want. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to search for the nuggets.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to search
for reaction too. Like it's that now with online culture, we have this like ravenous appetite that's always needing to be satiated with new content.
Yeah.
So it's like the second it's there, you have the cosplays, you have the fanfics, you have all of this stuff that you're right, otherwise wouldn't exist, or you had to find these groups in order to do so, which is good and bad. I'm glad that we're like bringing attention and people have these groups available to them.
Yeah.
But it's just very weird now, I guess.
Right. I think it's you got to be self-aware of that, and I think we will get there. Excuse me. I think as a society, we'll look back on this now and go, "Wow, we were a little bit playing with fire that we didn't really understand." And
We were a little
we'll
ahead of our skis trying to figure it out. Yeah.
And so like we'll come back and we'll
that's
reflect and we'll
what it
mature around it and we'll become aware. Like I think again, I don't want to get really negative or dark, but I think there's an entrenchment of views that can exacerbate underlying problems in the world. But then I think once we kind of come to and realize the situation and the nuance and complexity of online media and social media in particular, I think we'll kind of be like, oh no, we'll have a much more matured perspective on it. And I don't know. I hope we come out the other side a little bit kinder to our neighbor. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, me too.
This episode of Off Topic is brought to you by MeUndies. MeUndies is back with their ultimate gift guide so you can save time and focus on going home for the holidays and winning the holidays with the coziest gifts ever. You've heard me say it before, I love MeUndies. I personally enjoy their thongs. That's me. You think I enjoy sitting in the stool for hours? I do not. MeUndies makes me more comfortable while I'm here. It's time to get festive with the new MeUndies holiday collection, featuring classic plaids you know and love and sweater-inspired prints that'll quickly become favorites. Their undies, loungewear, and sleepwear are made out of incredibly soft, breathable, stretchy fabrics that are ideal for sitting fireside with loved ones and a cup of hot cocoa. Or a little bit of ginger ale, for me. Get the family photo you've always dreamed of in the matching PJ sets, or make every day a spa day with the new plush robes and plush slippers. Cozy. Whatever you choose, everyone will be rolling into the new year comfier than ever. Available in sizes XS through 4XL, MeUndies has a little something for everybody on your list. MeUndies has a great offer for our viewers. For any first-time purchasers, you get 15% off and free shipping right to your door. Your days of fighting for your life in the mall parking lot are over, I promise. To get 15% off your order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/offtopic. That's MeUndies.com/offtopic.
Dude, I've been rewatching Seinfeld, and by rewatching I mean like I watched the first couple episodes and then I've just been starting it over. Talking about the internet, it's such a different world in that show.
Yep.
And I'm like, I remember when this was airing.
Watching that and the X-Files has been like a huge whiplash going, oh shit, people don't have like cell phones right now. They're not walking around.
There's like a whole episode.
Hold on, let me page my friend.
Right, yeah.
It's just like
I just got a fax of shit.
George is at like a restaurant and being like, wait for him to get off the phone. I need to make a call. And I'm like, first of all, there was a phone in the restaurant that people could publicly use. And second of all, you weren't reaching in your pocket to make the call.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what the...
I remember many movies where it'd be like the whole plot was driven around someone ducking behind like near the bathroom to make a creepy phone call. It's like, that doesn't happen anymore.
I watched, this is a dumber version of this, but I watched not too long ago Bewitched. Like the Will Ferrell, I think Nicole Kidman.
Oh, yeah, wow.
was
From
an
like
okay
the early
adaptation.
2008
Where his
or
life is
something.
written. For
They
him?
had tube TVs.
No, that's different. It's the adaptation of Bewitched is what he's talking about.
I'm talking about the adaptation of Bewitched.
Yeah.
The one with
Yeah.
Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had tube TVs, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like in the 2000s. And I was just like, what the fuck? It really threw me.
Gross.
I was like, this is a modern movie.
Jeff went,
Why don't they have flat screen TVs? It's so weird.
It's wild. I mean, I was watching, so I've talked about it in the past, Explained is a series that's on Netflix, and they have like sub-categorizations. They have recently released Explained the Mind, and so they go through categories like teenage brains and creativity and personality and things
Really
like
was
that.
just hoping for an episode of, we can't.
Give up. Stop it.
Stop trying to figure
Get
it
some
out.
help.
Just whatever.
Right. But like the creativity one was so interesting because there was a clip from an interview in 2009 or 2010 or something like that, and it was a clip on TV, and I was like, why does it look like trash? It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't filmed in the 80s, and I mean, to be fair, I think they put a filter over it to convey that it was on TV, but it is weird. Like you look back not that long
You made it look a
ago.
little worse, so you know it was from the past.
Remember when we had tube? I just spit everywhere.
Yeah.
Remember when we had tube cell phones and we pull out this box?
Yeah.
They had like,
Well, no, I remember-
I saw cell phones like in the car. It was like a big box and there was like a cord.
Oh,
You
yeah.
could, like,
That's what I was
Yeah.
about to say. So my grandmother, she had like a phone in the car, and I was like, why, but
In case of
also,
emergencies, man.
yeah, that was her argument, like in case of emergencies. And I remember I was like 10 or probably younger than that, and I was like, but if the car's totaled, how are you going to call anyone anyway? And she just looked at me and she like took a sip from her cup and was like, I don't know. And then she kept driving.
We'll figure it out.
But
The car's on fire. It's all mangled. And
Right.
You're like crawling through the fire and flames, dragging yourself.
Meanwhile,
all burnt
Grandma
up,
back is like, we
bleeding
made it
everywhere.
through
You're like,
WW2. We'll make it through this.
Oh, it works! What?
Right.
It's
What
ringing.
amazing
It's-
oak paneling.
It's ringing. Grandpa, we're going to be a little late.
You didn't ask for help. You just said you're gonna be a little late.
Let him know.
Turkey in the oven.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, no, it was like a separate line just for the car. And I was like, I don't know. I just, thinking back on it, I'm like, why didn't we just have cell phones then?
Yeah.
Because it was.
What?
Thought of
Why
it
didn't we
yet.
just have teleportation right now?
But I'm just saying, like, it was basically a cell phone that existed in the car, so I just didn't understand.
That was the whole push.
And
You're like, we
thinking
have
back,
this,
At,
make
at
it
the time,
smaller.
I was, like 8 or 9.
That
didn't
kind of
care.
cell phone would probably require some sort of backpack apparatus.
I think my grandma had one of those too.
Shout out.
But
No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
Grandma was a technophile. man.
No, my
Matt's
grandma
grandma
just, like,
was Inspector Gadget.
she
is
just
what
like,
I learned.
grandma was like,
Leading edge.
she just like buying stuff that she didn't know if she needed or not.
So what you're saying is she likely owned a heavy volume of Apple stock, and Matt is actually a secret billionaire.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I wish.
She just doesn't know yet.
You just said cutting edge
Maybe
too.
she doesn't know.
Did y'all ever go
She's
shopping
like,
at Sharper Image?
I bought
Oh my God,
these
of course.
apples
Nice.
Yeah.
years ago.
Online and in the store in the mall.
Well, there's the Sky Mall version also, where
Yeah.
if you're on a plane, you're like, oh shit, the Sky Mall's here. Let me check out what's it. Sharper Image. My family was convinced that that was like, if you went to that store, everything in there was the future of
Yes.
tech. So
Yes.
it was like, it was always dumbass shit. Like, hey, do you need your earlobes
Right.
formed? I'm like, fuck yeah, I do. Awesome.
I never thought about
Yeah.
it, but they are a little chilly.
I could use a little bit.
You're like, this massage chair is as good as a real massage.
Said everyone who's ever tried them.
It's so true. Or they
man.
would like, I don't know, I liked going in there because I was a kid, I enjoyed it, but I just think about it now as an adult going like, you know those, what are they called? The little cradle where you move the ball and it goes,
Yeah.
A Newton's cradle.
Newton's cradle.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, oh my God, this is like advanced technology that's blowing my fucking mind. Right, yeah. It's like, it's nothing.
That's how gravity works.
Yeah, but selling it to my parents at the time, they're like, that will be $500. And they're like, oh,
Right.
absolutely.
It was like
Oh my
Spencer's
God.
gifts, but times $10, like times 10 to every dollar
For
amount.
fancy
I think.
Yeah.
I think they like Sharper Image got over succeeded in two ways because it was just lumpy cheap crap, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But they got over. They did well because of this idea that it was a techno future, but also I think they just made everything molded gray plastic when everything else was white.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
You know, and it was just like a different color and it looked
Look at the
futury.
feature.
Everything
Yeah.
was dark gray and
It was
or
dark
leather.
gray. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you walk in and it was and it was also dim. It was dim in the store and
That's how I
like
get you.
yeah. So it was,
Yeah.
it was very
The
modern
production
in that sense. Like it had. Like if you go into a hyper modern house now, but it has that like kind of darker theme to it, you'll have a lot of dark grays and black and gloss and I mean ahead of its time. And
It's like Sith or Jedi
Yeah.
choice. You're like, do you want the dark look or do you want this like Apple look where everything is very bright?
right, everything. I think I got sunburn walking in.
I think this is my fridge. I'm not sure.
Someone lower the contrast of my eyes.
God, it matches my skin tone. I'm just like blinded.
Oh my God, I ghost rocked it. My veins.
Hello. That's great. I'm talking about just like, again, shifts in technology and going back to media in itself. I've always enjoyed what I call 90s future, which is in the 90s, there were a lot of movies about space and exploration into different galaxies and universes. And I like that they had an idea of what they wanted those universes to look like, but they still had to rely on the technology that was available at the time. So you have like, interdimensional travel with a VHS player. You're like, oh shit.
Exactly, dude.
Awesome.
That's
We're
like
retrofit because VHS was never going to
That's
Oh yeah, that's true.
I really
Still alive
loved.
today.
I really loved
Keep it
about
going.
the Alien video game, the Alien Isolation.
Yes.
Was they maintained
Yeah.
that like 70s aesthetic to the tech, which was so refreshing and fun to see.
yes,
Yeah, it was really cool.
100%. Yeah. Is there a way to back convert my DVDs to VHS?
VHS because that's not going anywhere.
That's not going anywhere. It's a pure media and it can't be killed. Now it makes me think like
I need to watch Rugrats in Paris daily.
What's all this nonsense with DVD menus? I want to just rewind.
Right.
I need
Bonus
3
features, forget
previews
that.
These
before.
godless rewindless things. Now, that's interesting you mentioned the 90s future because I would love to almost watch like a short docu-series that looks at the the future of past future, right? Where it goes back to the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today. Like, and what
That's a
iterations
great
of
idea for a
yeah,
show,
like
Trevor.
what? Because each decade has a different look of the future, and to explore that, because I've always been very fascinated by Disney's version of the future,
Yes.
right? And and what of that has materialized, and what of that looks so very archaic and way off now? Because it almost
Jack
says
can
so.
tell you. He'll go on this whole thing about Epcot for 11 fucking hours.
Oh,
if
excellent.
you want to. Yeah, he'll answer that question exhaustively.
But like, it's so interesting because it's so projecting. Like it looks at what that time is and what their hopes are and what their dreams are, and it just explodes those out. And it's just, I've always been interested in that. I feel like maybe that's something we could do.
Let me give you an example of like how close we are to one that would be a very big gap.
Yes.
Tease me.
The Jetsons. George Jetson's birthday is next year.
I saw that and I was like, oh
he's
my
going to be
God.
born next year. Oh my
Next
God.
year.
There's
Get ready. Me.
What was his name?
George Jetson.
Who? George?
Yeah.
George Jetson.
Okay, so
what
you
do you mean?
I don't know what it
There's
is.
Jane's wife.
George J. Jetson.
I was a Flintstones kid, all right?
There was a crossover, Trevor. Come on.
Didn't watch it.
traded
I
families.
refused. I hated it. I was a
still,
very avid fan.
Still a bit of time before his boy Elroy.
I'm just saying, anybody out there thinking about having kids in the next year,
Last name Jetson.
with your last name Jetson,
Yo,
get
it's,
George on the menu.
You're the future of humanity in cartoons.
August 27th.
August 27th,
2022 is George
2022.
Jetson's birthday.
Damn.
Now, here's the thing. Did he have immortality pills? Was he swallowing vitamin C like left and right?
I don't
what
know.
year does
The
the
Jetsons could have been even. Well, it's supposed to be like a post-apocalypse.
Excellent, because so we're on track.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Like it's literally supposed
I
to be
think
they're
canonically
up
they're up in the sky above
because
all the
world
pollution and
flooded.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Elysium.
speaking of
So we're
like,
working on that part.
speaking of being on the bubble, and bubbles very, very,
Car bubbles.
yeah. Did you guys see the story this morning that the DARPA-funded researchers accidentally created the world's first warp bubble?
What?
And I'm like, that sounds crazy. What's a warp bubble? So I read, and this is what they said. To be clear, our finding is not a warp bubble analog. It is a real, albeit humble and tiny warp bubble. And I'm like, what
I gotta
the
have
fuck?
analog.
What is
Hence the
VHS.
significance.
I know.
Then, so I went further down. They read a warp bubble, also known as a static warp bubble or a static warp field, is a type of subspace deformation, i.e., a warp in the fabric of space.
Yeah, no, that's the way to
That's how
move
we're going to have
faster.
interdimensional travel and shit.
Exactly.
So,
That's
yeah.
how you're going to move faster than light, because instead of pushing yourself physically through matter,
we
you bend
we
it.
tore the fabric of space.
Yeah.
You said DARPA? did
Fuck
this?
yeah,
DARPA
we
did
have.
Do we
On
have to pay for
accident.
it?
On accident.
Suck it, Einstein. Wait, you
On
probably
accident.
Is this how we make the
Noodled
island
on that
from
one.
Lost, or?
I don't know, dude, but it
right.
sounds like it sounds like this is the moment we get it. We either things go really cool or really wrong.
Oh,
So
yeah.
maybe
Like
that's
it's in
what's
that
happened.
spot. There's going to be like a
Maybe.
little tentacle come out one day or something.
The kaiju are
Maybe
coming.
we've already ended the universe, and we are already like
universe
yesterday was
2.0.
normal, but
No,
today
no.
is actually 100 years after yesterday.
No.
And these
This
are all
is-
just memories replaying in our minds as we're
it's
plugged
like
into the
Trevor.
Matrix coming out on the 22nd. I'm excited.
I feel like I'm in Umbrella Academy.
No, you know that's not true. George Jetson hasn't been born yet, and we know that's set in stone. So we haven't ended it yet.
He is the one.
Right?
The future. Yeah.
Right?
Maybe that's the day.
I also love
If we can stop George Jetson from being born.
Oh my God. That's
What
a
if-
prophecy.
What if Elroy, George Jetson's son Elroy, is like the new Hitler? And if we can stop
my
George
God.
Jetson from having a kid,
Do not have kids in 2022, and do not name them George. Save the day. No kid 2022. No
It's that
kids
fucking
2022.
Elroy.
What if it's daughter Judy though?
Oh, yeah.
It could be.
I got
daughter-
no problems
cool.
with Judy. Judy was cool.
Judy was sweet. Yeah.
Name Judi Dench?
Of course. The greatest.
Yeah,
I
well,
also
as
love
long
the
as
difference
Astro.
between people hearing that information. Trevor goes, oh my God, think of the possibilities scientifically. And I went, bubble shield. Bubble shield. It's real.
Anyway, we're
We're
Karen,
fine.
What is
No,
the
but
worst?
that'd be like the bubble shield that warped you to a different reality
Oh, yeah. Like, whoops.
every time she escaped somewhere else.
everybody be on the lookout.
wrong
We're
room?
ripping the fabric of time and space left and right now on accident. So
I mean, there's definitely
shit could get
like-
weird.
Jeff, there's like at least 50 universes where that ended them. That right there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That bubble. But we're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, well, just like the Big Hadron Collider, right?
Right.
The supergiant
We're
over
probably already dead from that.
in Switzerland. Yeah, I mean, like as soon as we turned it on, I remember being a kid. We're ready for that to turn on in the next year, and then I was like, well, what if that makes a micro black hole that is stable enough to exist for longer than a fraction of a second? and it just sucks the earth dry.
You go whackity schmackity do.
I want to be here. Whenever the world ends, I want to be by you. Oh, whackity schmackity do. When I cross the event horizon to my bed, Lindsay, can you be there?
Yeah, of course.
Your bedside manner seems to be the
Saying
best.
the most
I'm just
unhelpful,
imagining,
sarcastic shit.
I'm just imagining, like, while the world's getting ripped, you see the words form out of your mouth. It's like,
Yeah, I'm like, oh, fuck.
whackity schmackity do. They get sucked
Oh
in.
my God, we're in a comic.
Yes.
What reality's been?
What's the
Shout out to Patton Oswalt. Oh, man.
what's the most asinine thing you could do with bent space-time? I would like to see the back of my own
don't
head
know.
with my own eyes.
Oh,
Kinda cool.
so you're-
Yeah.
I just thought you'd like take a table and bend it.
Get bent.
I don't know.
I don't know what's
Yeah,
possible.
exactly.
I'm not smart enough for this question, is what we're
Just
saying.
spitball.
Yeah.
We're noodling here. We're brainstorming.
okay.
We're
I would-
signing.
Bent
We're
space-time.
Newtoning right now. They're gonna call it Lindsay's cradle
I
eventually.
like it.
I would want to see
in
Gavin
here.
put his own head up his own butt like his brother did.
That's good. The George
His
Dry
head
is
up his
real.
own butt.
Yeah.
Now,
be
is this
cool.
an alternate reality, Gavin, that gets very surprised?
No, I'll
Or
take
is
that. I'll
this-
take this one.
Or is this like himself feeling and
Yeah, it's this one.
experiencing?
Yeah, just put his head through a black hole, and then it'll come out the other side right in his butt, like this.
Yeah.
Nice.
So could I get a Matt from a different reality? Is that
Here's
something I
the
could do
thing,
with
Matt,
this?
and I maintain this theory to this day.
Yeah.
I tweeted this years ago. You are the nexus point for all universes.
Exactly.
Across all universes, Matt is the one consistent.
anchor.
You're
I'm the anchor for all of life.
Yeah. Nothing is different
And
about
that's
you
the
in
thing.
all realities.
I want to get one from another reality and put him here and see if you notice.
Well, that's the thing. We
There is
wouldn't,
no one.
Well, I mean,
because
you
it's
probably
exactly the
wouldn't,
same.
but-
You would have different memories.
That's the thing. He wouldn't know what's going on here.
Right.
And then you'd
You'd be like,
figure it out.
strange that you aren't insect humans. What was that? That's just Matt
That's just
being
Nothing.
Matt.
That's just, just a thing I say sometimes.
Matt's gonna have the storyline like Rick and Morty, where he's gonna have to kill another version of himself to replace himself in another timeline, and then just live there without anyone knowing. And we'll be like, we don't know if this is the real Matt or not.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd be the only
You
one
know.
that could do it. You know.
Rick and Morty's gotten so convoluted in a good way, but goddamn.
Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty.
We talked about Tenet last time, so yeah.
I still haven't seen that movie.
Please do.
It's good, but confusing. I'm like,
I haven't seen it either, man. He didn't call me an idiot. Though.
Well,
Hey,
he did. Just not this moment.
Hey, this is the anchor you're talking to.
my bad. I don't want to solve of existence.
well, now we're talking about disrupting one, doing whatever. Geoff, what would you do? You have the power to disrupt time and space.
Oh man.
You're gonna go chaotic
Whiteless
evil.
ass cleaning.
Wait,
How would you-
wipeless ass.
Send it
cleaning.
somewhere else.
Oh.
Got poopy butt? Not anymore.
Oh, you know what I do?
Other Jeff does now.
Oh.
Jeff in another reality, buff
Shit
as hell, running
transfer.
down the track, going, "Yeah, time to stay fit." What the fuck?
Yeah, I'd
Why would
fabricate.
he send it to another Jeff?
Got shit in your shoes
Because
now.
fuck Jeff. And hey, and fuck other me.
I would telefart. Yeah.
Yeah, you would
Like anytime I have to
definitely do
fart, I'd open a little warp bubble,
You'd
and
be
I'd
like
blow
a-
it. And like, oh, the president's like sitting at the White Oval Office. He's like, during my president. What the fuck?
You ever like just
He's
driving
like,
to work?
Jill, I think I made a mess again.
I think at some point you figure it out because that happened to me. I've been smelling ghost smells.
Yeah.
So I'll be driving to work and I'm like a phantom fart. I'm like, did I fart? Was that somebody else? I think it's Jeff from the future.
It might be.
You're marionetting puppet these farts from another dimension.
I'm still losing it. Biden impression.
That's really good. I'm just thinking, give this
I made another
And I can make that joke because our president, Joe Biden, and I got colonoscopies on the exact same day.
Your
We were colonoscopy pals.
Oh my God.
Colonoscopy brothers.
I got home from the colonoscopy and I was like, I had a whole story I tell him
Your
fuckface
doctor
about
said,
it, but I wasn't feeling great. And I turned on the
I did
news
one of these
and they're
for
like,
the
President Joe Biden had his colonoscopy today, first of the presidency. And I was like,
I chose the right
motherfucker.
day.
Yeah.
This episode of Off Topic is brought to you by Manscaped. It's the holiday season, and if you got a little more room in that stocking, today's sponsor, Manscaped, has you covered. Manscaped is the leader in men's below-the-waist grooming, and they have helped more than 4 million men worldwide. And just so you know, that's almost 8 million balls. That's a lot of balls. Also, I use the same product too. So shout out to the femmes who represent Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with code OFFTOPIC. And now, trimming down there, not fun for anyone, trust me, but Manscaped makes it pretty easy. It's smooth, delicate, nice to the touch. Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0 is sure to be a huge hit with the hairy dudes in your life this year. It comes with the Lawnmower Body Trimmer and the Weed Whacker Ear, Nose, and Hair Trimmer. Nice. It's also got a Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner. And it comes with 2 free gifts, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. That's a good deal. Speaking of stocking stuffers, Manscaped has a bunch of winners, like the 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, cologne-infused body wash, signature cologne, and more. So get 25% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with code OFFTOPIC. Be the ballsiest gift giver ever this year.
Bro, did that video with the fountain and water feature recording, did that come out yet?
That's in the Minecraft.
Oh God.
Was that the pirate one?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh!
Fishing Jamboree is going to be something, a moment to remember.
I played some
reasons.
audio. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I'd like to say.
I wish I forgot about it.
Can I?
No more clues.
One point. I'd just like to
Yes,
make a point.
please.
I only played that audio because my supervisor, Trevor Collins, asked me.
I don't think you report to me.
I'm pretty sure I do. I'm pretty sure you're the head of Achievement Hunter, and I was functioning as a talent in Achievement Hunter. So you were the boss there, and then you recommended I do it. So I played it.
What I had requested
I do
was,
what Trevor
let's
says.
play a game of Geoff plays a recording and see if you can identify what this sound is. Name that sound.
We figured it out.
It's the sound that comes out of
figured it
a
out.
VHS tape.
Now, Matt, you were saying.
What? I got nothing
I thought you
anymore.
were going to input
No,
for chat.
I was just
Oh,
gonna
Lord.
say like, hey, dude, you could say no.
It's a
Also
sound.
true.
It's
You have
a
the
sound that can.
I'm the one that recorded it. Obviously, I'm proud of the sound.
It's a sound that the more I
Maybe
think
don't.
about it, the more I actually like. I start to pick up a taste and a sickly like. I need to exercise
brown
my
note.
stomach
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Brown
Kind
note.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Also,
It was very vivid.
First bell.
Oh, is it time to subscribe for first?
Thank
Is that
God.
what that is?
Segue.
Thank God Ferts
God.
are here because God only knows what rabbit hole that conversation was headed towards.
Well, squirts to Ferts. Hey, Fert members.
There it is.
To you. Hey, everybody.
Stellar example.
All right. Thanks to our first members for supporting the stream. You're the best. We love you. Mwah. Also, we now have our first members premium RSS feeds. It's ad-free on most podcast platforms, and you get it early. You can subscribe now to the new RSS feed at bit.ly/firstrss.
Damn.
You know, while she was doing that, I popped in a warp bubble and I checked real fast.
Who'd you send it to?
How's Biden?
The early. That's what we're talking about right now. Not what we're talking about right now. It's a lighthearted conversation. It's a dark future. Anyway, I popped into the warp bubble just for a second, just to get some early. The dailies are coming in. Early feedback from the future is this is a very popular off topic. Everybody loved it.
Oh,
Great job. Yeah.
great.
Well, all the feedback I'm reading from the future commentators, they're really into it. They're really
I keep
loving
looking
it.
at the chat for reactions and
it'll
responses and clever
occasionally
commentary.
move, and I'm like-
And I'm like, oh yeah,
totally
it's
unrelated to
Tuesday.
recording.
Yeah. That's why I had to go. Well, she was.
Right, no, and I appreciate you doing
Yeah,
that.
taking it back slightly for Jeff's trips
to
and
sports
travels.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Interdimensionally with his discussions with Biden. Have you thought about maybe using your farts for discussions or maybe like a warning? You know, hear me out. You
yeah.
put a canary in a
warning,
cave.
yeah.
The canary dies. You go get the fuck out of the cave. Something's going to happen.
Right.
Jeff sends a fart to the president. The president goes, "Oh my God, we're under attack." And then, oh my God, Jeff lets them know
Unintended
early.
consequences. I didn't do that, yeah.
Like if you have the intel.
Rage.
I just imagine him calling everyone to the situation.
World War III starts because I had garlic.
Oh no! You were just trying to warn everyone.
It's DEFCON 1, or is 5 the worst? Which way does it
Five,
count?
I think.
5 is the
Yeah.
worst?
DEFCON
It's
5.
DEFCON 5. Why? You don't want to know.
Yeah, it's just
Do not
everyone's
go
in
in
the
there.
situation room. All right, everyone.
It was tacos
Someone
at
keeps
Ramsey's.
farting in this room, and we're gonna figure out who's
farting in the war room.
in the war room.
You know that's gotta have happened, right? They all,
Like his
they
hand on the
all
button,
hunker
like,
down.
who's doing it? I'll press it.
Biden's back,
lock
Biden's
the
back there
doors.
sitting against the wall. He's like, I'm president. You can't say shit.
Don't say anything. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's been parts in the war room.
What do you think
Oh,
the
yeah.
most awkward
For sure.
piece of flatus in the history of mankind has been, right? The most, like, some sort of very tense moment where two, like,
Right,
generals are in the same war.
Or like Putin and Trump are like battling it out,
they're
and
in
then like
Versailles,
one of them's
right?
like,
and they're like, we're gonna sign this last signature, and he's like, I don't know if I want to sign this and end the war. I better get the hell out of here. And it changed the course of history. I better sign this and get the
I
fuck
gotta
out.
get out. Rations were bad today.
I'm enough of a history nerd to know the event, but not the person. So internet helped me out. But allegedly, it was a lord who presented himself in front of Queen Elizabeth, the OG, not the one who's still alive, obviously. And he was like, "How do you do? I'd like to do business with you and your country. Hope it's going well." And as he bowed, he let out a little toot, and it was in front of the whole court. And it was very faux pas, and he never showed his face in court again because he was so embarrassed about it.
They took him out at dawn and executed him for his
Yeah, I was gonna
mistake.
say. I thought they ripped his face off.
That's
was the time.
That's interesting though. Have there ever been like consequential farts in authoritative role? Like, do judges fart?
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
they
that's
don't.
Like in the middle of a
that's why
trial,
they
does the judge like rip
people,
one?
Jeff.
Yeah,
They don't
And then they go
wear
like,
the robes, so it's like masked. You know,
Oh, it's like a human
it's
muffler.
like
They fart, and then it just kind of like.
it's like
you see it billow a little
Right.
bit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you think like he might be a Sith Lord. No, just farted.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
he might be
Matt,
floating along the floor.
At the beginning of the case,
flatus.
every time the trial starts, they go all rise and they go brrr. And it's like, oh wow.
That's why they have the oak seating for everybody, the creaking woods, and
very
the billowing
absorbing.
human muffler. Now, you describing that scene was awesome because you're like, I just saw
yeah.
it
It's
through
very
an
drunk
animated
history,
lens. I would love like a series that Lindsay describes the history of like just like quintessential history moments to anybody in Achievement Hunter, and they react to that, ask questions,
love
and
that.
we distill it down and animate it. Because I know I don't know if we released it, but you made a history, the accuracy of history in video games before.
We did a couple of like pilot episodes, I guess, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term. But we didn't make anything of it because mostly it was like people know history better than I do. But I love stuff like that, being very colloquial. I'd love to just like sit down with Matt and be like, "Yo, let me tell you about World War II." Okay, this person was like, "Fuck you," and they were
Right.
like, "No, fuck off." Like,
They could even start
war
They could even start with a question just like this: like, what was the most historically consequential fart? And like, I give you that question, you run off and
Do some
research,
research.
come back to me, and then we record like a 5-10 minute conversation where you distill it. I ask questions, and we animate it.
I'm all about
Oh
that.
my god!
I like that you're posing the questions too. Like,
Yeah.
you have a post from the audience.
Matt, what's
Yeah.
your
What do
historical
y'all know about
question?
it? Yeah.
Oh man, a historical question.
I'm putting you very much on the spot. Don't feel like you have to
I'm
answer.
trying to think.
Give me something to
We'll call it like
research.
everyday experts or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I was just thinking because I was still thinking about the fart thing.
Yeah.
It's hard not to think about
Washington definitely farted on that boat.
Crossing
They
the
were
Delaware?
Delaware, right?
He's
Like,
in the
that's-
pose for it.
Yeah, exactly. He's like
That
during
pose
that
is like-
pose, and it's like,
Dude, those people were those American
one tell 'em.
patriots,
No one
those
Right.
those freedom fighters, those people that like laid down their lives so that we could be assholes on TikTok. They were fucking cold. They were freezing.
They had to be.
Oh, absolutely.
I bet a fart. Everybody probably crowded around.
Absolutely.
There's like a little bit of
Why
body
do you
warmth.
think he
I bet if
posed?
George Washington farted, there were like 8 dudes that are like putting their hands by it, like.
And he's like,
and
this
then he
is.
just sitting there, let me
Yeah,
light
here.
the fire,
Right,
boys.
Right. This is
It's like
the most
this.
efficient way to just have it exercise.
There's a dude
itself
over there
right
going-
out. Yeah. Hold on. Make sure it's in there. Yeah. The new world, boys.
I'm taking a big brunt for you guys.
We're about to break land.
Appreciate it.
And break.
Stay
land.
warm.
Yes.
I've got all the
wind
meals,
is
so I
broken,
keep
sir.
the warmth.
Now I want the link.
anything but the beans again, sir.
Oh, I need them for you.
I need the Captain My Captain
them more
speech
than I do,
addressed
yeah.
to Lincoln, but with farts in between. Thank you.
That makes me think. And this is a little bit more morbid.
Four
but you,
score.
Did he fart when he died?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
Probably.
maybe
They
like
die,
he was
right?
assassinated, and then you just
Yeah,
like the
no.
looseness, or he's like. He's up in the balcony. He's watching the play, and John Wilkes comes through, and he aims, and he goes, "Dodge this," right?
Yeah.
He says that, which is
That's
quintessential
it.
line.
He-
He's
yes.
definitely said
And then
that.
Agent
That's been
Smith
proven.
dodges.
And then Abraham Lincoln turns around, and he goes, "Oh." just a little air escapes.
But
you
what
know?
if
It's
that?
like,
What if that had saved him in the moment? What if he made John Wilkes laugh? He's like, dude, come on.
Just fires.
Oh, it's one of those old-fashioned ringy-dingy revolvers with one
Give me
bullet
about
in it.
15 minutes.
Which is not a revolver,
I'll
I
get you.
guess.
Yeah.
I'll get you.
He's like, oh, now I got to, the barrel bends down like a micro shotgun or
Yeah.
something.
Well, now you guys are onto something too with like warming the farts. I'm just thinking how we can use Jeff's power for the forces of good. What if Jeff farted into the space-time rift and it was sent to a place that was cold and needed
Right.
warming, perhaps an orphanage somewhere?
Right. where a universe where global cooling is happening, and we're like, send the cow farts there.
I get what you're talking about. I've smelled his farts. The orphans have suffered enough. Like, don't
Can I also
He
say,
just remembered his own fart.
Can I also say too, you guys are. I appreciate the reverence with which you are addressing my flatulence, but
It's like a religion for us.
That's true.
I don't really fart
Yeah.
that much.
Put respect
I'm
on where
disappointed.
respect is due.
I farted on Matt the
Yeah,
other
you
day. It was like
did.
the first time I'd farted in a week.
And you
I just don't have farts.
told me I needed to
Yeah.
feel special about that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know.
He's like, I don't know what it is. I've been eating way better. Like
Right.
everything is healthy in my
I mean,
life.
I don't think I'm doing anything.
taking care of myself.
The only thing I am doing differently than I've
Yeah.
done for the last 2 years is I'm not exercising right now.
Okay.
Because of I have a butt problem.
Here,
That sounds like it's not my butt. I have a bone problem.
No, I got-
so
I
I
got
can't
you.
ride my bike right now.
Yeah.
But that's it. Everything else is diet hasn't changed.
Dr. Collins,
Weird.
dietitian, licensed,
Lay on us.
no liability. Hold on, not actual advice.
You're like Dr. Phil.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
Yeah.
One of those. Anyway,
What?
No snake oil here.
consume off-brand whey protein just for fun. Just a scoop a day, and you'll be
Off-brand whey
you'll be blasted.
I'll get my mojo back.
Bro, I had to send back. I
my
usually
groove
get a
back.
specific brand of whey that I always get, and because I never have problems. But I got like the GNC version of it. And they're like, it's the same thing from the same place. I was like, bullshit.
You should.
I had it, tasted it. It was terrible. I was in the middle of an exam, and it was like, and my Purdue folks out there know, Aero 340, I believe. Very difficult class, suffice it to say. So I'm stressing out. I'm stressing it out my ass, dude. I'm like trying to do these math problems. It's like very quiet, and I'm like, oh, it's happening. The protein part. As it squeaks through, and
like
it was
a
a dead
raptor
quiet
being
room,
born.
and I like looked around, and because it was just my general vicinity, I clocked somebody right behind me, and so everyone's like at first, so they looked up, they saw me, and turned to this guy, and I was like, that sucks to be you, man, because like everyone focused in on him. I was like. And then my friend later on was like, oh, bro, you hear that? Like, somebody guffed. Oh, just in the midst of the silence. Like, Moses parted the seas of
Yeah.
silence and just said, let there be sound.
We should. You've landed on something. Off-brand whey protein. We're talking about this earlier today. I was talking about how we need a Blackstone, right? We need our Blackstone.
Yes.
We need our wind-up death snail or whatever.
Do you want to
We
explain
need-
what a Blackstone is?
Oh, it's
Or
like
is
a
that-
fucking griddle thing that I got.
Excellent.
But
That's all we
I
need.
bought the
That's
only
all
reason
we
I bought it because it was on TikTok.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, I didn't buy it. My mom bought it for me as a gift. Anyway, it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But
That's the long and short, just like life.
we should sell our own brand of whey protein called Whey-O.
And the crowd goes.
And then it's on the bottom. It could say like Whey-O. And then it could say, come on, everybody, get in shape.
See, I want to sell a product
And it's
like that.
Bottom
called
tier.
No Way with no way in it
Do you?
at all.
It's all
No Whey-O?
It's protein free. It's like
Do you
don't
remember-
consume after workouts.
Right.
Were you in Achievement Hunter in that period when I was so obsessed with the Whey-O song that
Yeah.
I played it on loop constantly
Yeah.
to annoy people? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think I remember that in content.
You know, the thing,
quoting
it's
that.
like, I think I
Couldn't
got
stop.
in right after that.
That was the Oblinator
Stop.
for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
My favorite
Yeah.
phase of Geoff just playing music out into the void was when you'd circle around a few different things. You go into like Mamas and Papas phase where it's like kind of like softer, like
Sure.
Geoff just kind of mellowing. All
Yeah.
right, that's cool. I'm all about it. But then you'd hit like early punk rock, like late 70s feminist punk rock movement stuff, and I was like, okay, cool. And like I'm a nerd and a half, so I'm not gonna go over and like rock out next to Jeff's desk. But I was like sitting in the corner going like, yeah.
Yes.
like, awesome.
Yes, the music fuels me.
Yes.
I
Yes.
shall not move.
Played the Bikini Kill, yes.
Everybody.
Well, it's from that girl in the video, right? Where she's like, come on, y'all, say way-ho, way-ho. You're like, oh, that's sweet. Doing your best.
It was great.
Also, to answer your question from earlier, because Tyler looked it up, thanks, buddy. It was the Earl of Oxford who farted in front of Queen Elizabeth.
Man,
And didn't
they even got his name
Yeah.
down. This is documented history.
Like hundreds of years later, we're like, this asshole farted in front of the Queen. Didn't come back to court for 7 years. Embarrassing.
If I ever
Imagine 7 years later. I know the last time I was here, and then there's just a guy about, yeah, you were the farter.
that's him, everybody.
He
Get him.
farted, guys.
everyone he farted.
Can you
Oh,
imagine,
no.
like, that dude, the Earl of Oxford, goes home to his wife? I assume he was married.
He went home and
At the end of the
family
day.
had already emptied the house.
Yeah,
of
and they were like, for like a month, he was like practicing and stressed out and going over his speech with his wife and like, no, just help me role play here. What if she says
Right.
this? I just got to get it.
got
She's
this,
like,
honey,
you
I'm
got to
proud
get
of
this
you.
right. Yeah, you got to. You
Yeah,
put so much work into it. And she's like, early. How was it? And he's like, fucking farted. I said all the shit you told me to say. I got like 80% of the way through it. I did the bow. Remember we practiced the bow? I knee touched the ground. I did everything. My hands were perfect.
Yeah.
I thought like I'm in the clear. All I have to do is stand up. We've got the trade deal. I'm back on the boat. We're on the horse. We're home. And I just shit my pants.
Yeah.
They're like, so we didn't
I just
get
ripped
the Armada?
biggest fart.
Didn't get the Armada.
Queen goes, I'll take Earl. Is there an Earl? And he comes in and he goes, "Milady bows." And right before he speaks, that's when it happens.
Oh, no.
And then he goes, and he just leaves.
Yeah.
He doesn't end up saying anything, and the trade deal's all off.
I would do the same thing. I would just bow again and be like, well, fuck me. See you later.
I will see myself out and
Your presentation was the
into obscurity.
So he probably could have, if he tried to like make a joke, you'd think he could have like saved it, where he's like, he like farts and he just goes, "The cooking in the kingdom, finest of all."
There you go.
I
Earl, you're.
I would do the
This man, 15 boats. Give him right now.
I
love this guy.
I'm landlocked.
I would do the hard blame someone else. I'd go like, he did it. It was Matt. It was
You.
That was the viceroy from
I'm
France.
so sorry, my queen, but he did that. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Bring someone, so you always have your blame guy.
Dude.
Oh,
This-
so every
this
time
guy-
you need a
You
fart
just
cover.
send it, and then
Yeah.
This guy had like the greatest way out ever, though, because it's the king, right, or the queen?
Yeah, Queen Elizabeth,
The
yeah.
Queen's guards don't speak. That guy, he farted. It
was the guy with the top with the hat.
Over there, the hat.
Yeah.
It sounded weird because it reverberated off the hat. That's why you sound like it came from where I am, but no, it was him.
Yeah,
It
we
was
have that problem in Oxford too. It's like
It's an acoustic.
it's like hat vibrations, fart vibrations.
They like to throw
he
their
farted.
farts.
Yeah.
To the dungeons
You
with
never
him.
know where it's coming from.
Now, if I ever have the opportunity to meet royalty, and I do plan it that way, I will build up the world's biggest pile of off-brand whey and go into that adventure
Hey-o.
having bookended my handshake or bow or whatever I do with some flatus.
At least you know, and you're
Right.
planning for it. I like to believe that with this Earl coming home, I know we talked about his return to his wife and family, you know, losing all of his pride and sense of self. I think it went one of two ways. Either he slumped in the house and she went, "How'd it go, honey?" And he went, "I don't want to talk about it." Or,
I didn't think about it. Oh, they're gonna send aid any day now.
yeah, oh man,
Don't
just wait.
you
Well, I'm thinking,
worry.
or
Fingers
I want the flip where it's like the Office scene where he's like, I drove my car into a fucking lake. He's like, I farted in front of the fucking queen.
Yeah.
Sorry, what? I farted in front of the fucking queen. Like, well, shit.
She goes, well, that's one way to make history. Listen, would this guy have been
We're still
remembered
talking
at
about it.
all?
Yeah, no.
Still talking about
give
it.
a shit.
So that's my shortcut. Listen, that's my life pro tip. If you want to make it into the history books, just fart in front of the queen once or twice in your life.
Here's
That's my
to you,
plan.
Earl of
That's my
Oxford.
plan.
Cheers.
That's the first one he's had. He's like, someone
Finally.
drank to me. Oh my God.
I knew it would all come back around.
Now, I'm not
Thank
familiar.
God.
How do you get sainted? I only say this to
Knighted?
ask.
Sainted?
Sainted?
So to become a saint, like Saint
Nicholas.
Lindsay Jones?
Yes, well, Saint Earl of Farts, the patron saint of flatulence everywhere,
Yeah.
Guiding and watching over us
Like
with gas.
Immortality.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be
I've seen
nominated.
I want to feel the spirit in me.
So-
through the. You have to be nominated through the church, right?
Yeah, what's the
Like
Catholicism?
canonization
Yeah.
or whatever. How do I become a saint?
Is there some sort of like a SAG, but for saints?
Yeah, it's like a Disney
You have to
princess. You
join
gotta
the-
I pay
meet this
saints.
criteria.
Every year, you know.
Okay, here we go. How does one become a saint? Step 1, wait 5 years.
Okay.
Or
Done.
don't. I guess that rules.
I started waiting
Step
5
2,
years ago.
become a servant of God. Sure. Step 3, show proof of a life of heroic virtue.
Heroic virtue.
Step 4,
That guy survived
verified
farting.
miracle. That's the I'm right there. I
see,
figure I
that's
could
the
I could slot
problem.
into step 3 right now.
I feel like I could
verified
easily
miracle.
falsify my way through steps
And
1
then
through 3.
step 5,
So
you get
Superman-
canonized.
It was the miracle part that you lost me. I can't fake that part of the homework.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is Superman like a saint then? I mean,
Yes.
He's got shot in the eyeball and didn't even blink.
It's fine. That's a miracle.
Yeah.
Bam.
I mean, like, what miracle? We can just, like, burn some toast and pretend like we saw Jesus, right?
That's
Like,
true.
Yeah. Verified miracle.
Now, does the toast become the saint or the person who burnt the toast?
Oh, I don't know.
If you eat the toast, do you have the miracle inside of you now?
Spirit
None of the
is-
steps
I'm
said be
part of
human.
miracle.
That's always, and that's a thing you see in Texas a lot too. It's like there's a saint in my tortilla, right, or a saint in my toast or whatever. I wonder if you set out how many pieces of toast you would have to cook if you just went the stated purpose of I'm going to get a Jesus toast at some point. I've got 20 toasters,
If you find out,
and I'm just hoping for a Christ any second now. Any second
a
now.
specific toast.
Maybe a Virgin Mary.
It probably
Did you say like Pokemon cards? Is that what you said? I turned and I pretended to look at. Well, I didn't pretend. I
No,
did
I was
actually
saying
look
that
at the
you would
chat,
get a
which is
bunch of-
again days old.
You would get a bunch of toasters and toast a bunch of bread
I think
until you get a
Geoff's right.
Jesus.
But that's like
Yeah.
opening packs of cards and hoping that you get the rare
Yeah, but
one.
he's
It's the
working a
same.
scheme.
You want the
Yeah.
Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We know
he's
for the
definitely
long
doing more of a scheme, not like I'm unlocking a Pokemon.
Right.
here.
And how much does bread cost as opposed to this
Oh, it's pretty cheap.
$1,000 card?
It's a lot cheaper
right?
than
Cheaper than
cards.
Pokemon cards, yeah.
You probably get the same chance of pulling a Jesus
Right.
as you do as a
If you somehow pull
Black
a
Nebula Charizard. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
you get
if you somehow pull a Rainbow Mew out of your toast, I mean, hats off.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did
If
it.
you can get the whole Trinity, whew, that's nuts.
Right. We're talking about
All
like
of them there.
Pulled a Jesus from my toast.
talking about Zelda.
Like all the apostles.
I would
wow.
love
Ganon.
to pull Link, Zelda, Ganon
Right.
right there. The Tri-Toast.
The Tri
Yeah.
Could
Toast.
be good.
I got a holographic Lot and his wife.
Oh my god.
I like the hoity-toity.
When you put them together, the artwork matches up. It becomes a full art piece.
It's just a man in a pillar of sand.
Salt.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Listen, I'm a little rusty on my church. Sorry.
It happens.
But it stays with you.
We've,
Somebody should sell a toaster that burns Jesus' face.
dude,
in the
that
what I was saying.
I
absolutely
guarantee
exists.
That probably
Just
exists,
hang on.
right?
Hang
Absolutely
on.
exists.
Yeah, dude, if you can burn a Pokeball into your toast, you can definitely burn like a Jesus into it.
I'm sure there's also a panini press,
Jesus,
so that way it gets the griddle right on the bread. Make sure you get Jesus. It's you're close. You're onto
Cheat
something.
has wares. Yeah, it's like Skyrim reference.
Let's see.
Vegeta.
Panini.
Cheetahs, stop. We're losing it. This is the humor we're talking about from earlier in the show. This is we're
yeah.
crossing over an internet realm where we're
Yeah.
also loopy and we just throw shit out and
Dude,
make each other laugh.
I love
caffeinating.
doing that with
Simple.
you. Like it's so much fun in a video where it's like you and I'll go back and forth having our own dumb conversation for like
Yes.
5 minutes.
Which is beautiful. I try not to detract from the main storyline that's happening, but Matt just keeps me laughing over and over again, especially with like references to King of the Hill
Yeah.
or something, or like our Southern upbringing, which Geoff can also add in every now and then with his Alabama upbringing.
And what is
So, yeah.
Indiana but the south of the north? You know what I'm
You
saying?
know,
So we're all
honestly-
just tumbling in there with the exact same childhood
Black
experience.
Been there and I agree with you.
How do you? Now you not a fan of Indiana?
No, I disparage it because it's just
you're
fun
from
too.
there?
But
Yeah.
no, I mean Indiana's been like on the whole pretty solid. I mean, there's definitely been, and listen, it's hard to make a blanket statement anymore on anything because there are always exceptions to the rule.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there are plenty of
Daily bread,
things
that's
in
great.
Indiana's recent history, political or otherwise, that are less like worth being proud of. But
Yeah.
no, Indiana as a whole,
Like we're
though,
kicking ass down here in Texas.
Sure. I mean, but like that's the thing. Again, no blanket statements are ever impregnable. But Indiana on the whole, no. I was very.
I wouldn't get pregnant in Texas right now.
I wouldn't get pregnant at all. Indiana was great. I really enjoyed where I grew up. I think I'm very grateful for where I grew up, and I was also thankful to have a plethora of fantastic. Higher education schools that I had in-state tuition for. There's a lot of reasons to be thankful for in Indiana.
The only reason I asked,
It's a little slower pace, a little like simpler life. It's definitely not got a lot
But
going
it's
on.
honest living.
But it's honest living.
I asked because
You've been there.
I'm close to dead at this point. I'm very old, you know.
Good news.
AARP's right around the corner. Like I
Oh,
at some point
knock
I'll be
on your door as soon as you turn 30. Man.
At some point I'll be too old to continue. I won't be able to function in society. I'll need to retire. Now I think I'm hopefully a few years off from that. But
get
at
you
some
a triple
point
bib.
I'll have
Past
to.
the incontinence phase.
I'm well past the incontinence. I'm swimming in a sea of incontinence. It's hideous. But at some point, I'm starting to think about like what a life post work would be.
Well, it
Not
doesn't
just
look
post
like
receipt,
Indiana.
but post work. Well, it may because I've been doing a lot of research. I would love to stay in Austin for the rest of my life.
Sure.
I've lived
cool
here
place.
26 years. It is the only place in my 46 years that I've ever felt at home. And it would break my heart to have to leave. However, it is also becoming one of the least affordable places to live.
Very easily.
And I can definitely easily afford to live here if I'm working, but if I go to retire and I'm on a fixed income, the property taxes in Texas are such that I don't know that I'd be able to swing it.
It's definitely
Even
hard
with
to
the retirement, with the retirement halvesies, when you just look at you like, here's my pile, here's my pizza pie of money I have left in my retirement, and here's Austin property taxes. Or I can move to Alabama where my mom lives, and here's Alabama's property taxes.
Right.
Right. So obviously I don't want to go back to Alabama, not because I don't like my mom. She's the best. I love her and my family, but I just
No,
don't
I'm
want to live
going
in
to
that.
read into that statement.
I just don't want to live in that backward shithole any longer. I've done the many years. I already suffered through it. So I've been looking at other places. You know, I've been spending a lot of time in Detroit.
Sure.
I quite like Detroit.
Midwest is honestly, it's definitely slower, but I think it's definitely a place to slow down. I think if you grow up in the Midwest, just a little nod to the people out there, explore. I didn't realize like what else was out there, even just within the continental U.S. until I started moving around a bunch in college. I lived in New York, I lived in Cincinnati, I lived like all over the place.
This is an aside, but
I had an aside.
this is just a brief aside off your side. No matter where you live, get out and explore.
No, yeah.
I
And if you
found
can afford it internationally.
Saturday, Millie and I, Saturday or Sunday, I think it was Saturday, Millie and I decided to just try something new. And we went to a park we'd never been to before. And it was one of the coolest places I've ever been in Austin. And I can't believe I lived here for 26 years and I didn't know this place existed. And I went back the next day with Emily and I fell in love with it. And I want to move by there now. I love it so much. It's so gorgeous. A little bit out of town. Anyway, I've been doing a lot of research on climate change and the way the world is heading. And honestly, they say that Michigan is going to have the best climate in America by 2050.
Tropical Michigan. Yeah.
Well,
Retire
it definitely,
to the beaches of Lake Michigan.
it definitely won't be
swimming and
tropical.
Surfing.
But Austin's going to look like Arizona in my lifetime, you know,
Yeah,
or
oh,
New
yeah.
Mexico. And
So hell.
so
Just
you know, that's the thing.
straight
Like,
up.
but you know, but that corridor, Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana are all kind of attractive. I started looking at homes and looking at lakes you could live by, and it's real pretty out there. And I
Indiana.
love Chicago.
Absolutely.
Indiana,
I would
what's
love to be
going
close
on?
to the White Sox.
Why?
I've never, you know, I lived in Indianapolis for a while when I was in the Army. I didn't like it. But, yeah, so I'm just thinking about it. Indiana comes up a lot, and there's some gorgeous, affordable homes in Indiana that are
Absolutely.
Do you think Indiana thinks about you?
No.
Indiana's always
It just thinks about like
you.
corn and stuff.
Do you want to drive by their house later and just see if they're home?
It's just,
We could.
who could?
I know you don't.
See why they
care,
didn't
but, yeah.
call their home.
Yeah.
I can see the lights on.
Yeah, I heard them
Anyway.
outside.
I'm not burning to move to Indiana or anything, but I just I keep looking at these fucking cool old like Frank Lloyd Wright style houses and shit.
Indiana's dope because, I mean, they call it the crossroads of America for a reason. And you can like, my family does this all the time, and we did this when I grew up. Like, we just drove places. We would drive. Louisville is right down there. Cincinnati, Chicago, Detroit are all fantastic, but totally different cities.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that is offered there. But then you can get to the Smokies super quick if you wanted. You can drive down to Florida in like a day and a half. Like, you can get around.
Yeah.
And but also it is more cost effective. But you're right. One thing I never really considered until adulthood really slapped me in the face with a W9 and all these other W2 and all these other things is like property tax is just, it's fundamentally different here. Like, we don't have federal income tax, or excuse me,
We have
state income tax. And so you're like, wow, that's great. You save so much money, but it comes in a different direction.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
From
Whether
somewhere else.
through your rent or through owning a property yourself and directly paying property tax. And so that makes it, like you were saying, very hard to retire here. Because if you accrue wealth and you buy a house that you want to retire in, you have the permanent expense, whether you paid it off or not, of property tax. And if your house appraises for more and more over the years and years and years, that goes up as a percentage of that.
Yeah.
People say it's a good problem to have, but you know, without getting into the weeds, I have, you know, my property taxes cost what a mortgage would cost, you know, in some places. And so it's like,
Especially when you look throughout all this.
you retire, you pay your house off, and then you still have a mortgage and property taxes every month. You're still paying like $1,000 a month in property taxes or whatever
right.
you're paying.
Whereas if
for
you
the
go-
benefit of living here, or my mom's property taxes in Alabama are $300 a year.
Oh my God.
$300 a year. I pay
Damn,
3 times
What?
out a month. you
Right.
know?
What the
But that's
hell?
like,
Yeah,
But they have state
Alabama.
income tax.
Oh,
right.
That's
Alabama.
but if you were to retire, and I'll just use Alabama because I don't know all the state
There's some
taxes.
gorgeous places in Alabama
Yeah,
too.
but if
Same
you
with
retire there,
Texas,
you don't
yeah.
have an income rather than maybe except for whatever you saved up and pull from if you have investments account, 401k, whatever. Like, then you have that income, but you don't have whatever. This is boring.
It's
Who
complicated.
cares? Who cares
It's
about
old,
tax?
growing old stuff. But anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I've been looking. I've really been enjoying. You know, I've been to Detroit maybe 6 times in the last 3 years and 2 years, and I've just really enjoyed it. So I've just been kind of looking around that area. I don't know that I would ever leave Austin. I would love to find a way to stay.
Yeah.
Maybe just work till I die. I don't know. But
Let's you and I get
That's
a
a way.
timeshare in Detroit.
okay.
You get the winter, And I'll get to summer.
That sounds good.
All this to say too, there was discussion online and internally about like hypothetically, if we moved the office, where would we want to move for climate change or
10
just like
feet that
political?
way.
There you
Political
issues.
That's
Yeah,
gonna really
exactly.
cost a
Yeah.
lot, actually.
That's another thing too. It's like
everything up,
it's
for
fucking. As much as I love Austin, Texas, it's fucking hard to be in the state of Texas right now.
Yeah, and you just said you're like Alabama has some beautiful places. I'm like, that's how I feel about Texas. I'm always like, man, like this place is gorgeous, but some of the people here really fucking suck.
That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Texas
No
so
blanket.
much.
That's the thing. No blanket statement will ever do anything ever any justice.
I'm
Blah, blah, blah.
You guys ever been
thinking-
to Big Bend? It's so fucking
gorgeous. Amazing.
Texas is amazing.
They're doing a photo shoot right now in Big Bend for the next Achieve drop.
Are they
Comes out
really?
in-
I have a friend
in January.
who's vacationing in Terlingua right now.
Oh, yeah?
If I'd have known, I'd have found a reason to go out for the
Oh
photo
yeah,
shoot.
I'm really excited to see how those photos come out. But also, that's merch that has been finalized for for a little bit now. And man, am I excited to see that come out.
That's amazing.
There's some cool shit in there.
Man.
So let me throw out Alaska.
Oh, that's where you want to go.
I want to go
We
there.
would all like to throw out Alaska.
And see,
Don't
that's
like
the
it.
thing. That's the
Get
thing.
outta
Is,
here.
that's the thing is though.
Nobody wants you.
I'm not sure the people are great, but I don't think there's enough of them there for me to care.
We would have plenty of space, man.
Yeah,
We have
exactly.
tons of
It's like
space.
you probably buy like a quarter of the state.
I will tell
It's
you,
simple.
I spent a couple days in Sitka, Alaska, which is not the most popular destination, like vacation
More of a
destination.
Juno person.
So I don't know what Fairbanks is like. I don't know what Juneau is like, but I will say that from my perspective, Alaska was full of very hard people who live hard lives who don't have a lot of patience.
It's the Russia of the
Well,
US.
I wouldn't want to interact with them.
Yeah, I wouldn't fuck
Like,
with
I'll
anybody
be
in
honest,
Alaska.
I don't have
Alaska
a
look
lot-
like a bunch of people that could kick the shit out of me at the drop
Like
of a hat.
if it's random people, I wouldn't have a lot of patience for them either. So it would be.
Those are the
as-
people you want to tangle with.
Oh,
you know?
I'm not saying I want to tangle with them, Jeff. I'm saying I want to be like, hello, yes, goods, thank
Yeah.
you, and leave.
Also, just give off the air of rugged mountain man, which I think you
Oh, I
can
got
pull
the
off with your
beard.
look. Exactly. Just
work
give
on it.
off the allure of don't fucking talk to me. I'm gonna be up in my mountain.
Well, I'm going to walk around with an axe
Oh, okay.
all the time after I
Good.
get
Make
up.
sure
They're
it's
like,
bloody.
sir, this is the Arctic tundra. There are no trees here.
Oh.
What are you doing with that?
Why do you think? Why there's no
Human
trees?
trees.
This is for the elk.
That's my bone axe.
I got rid of all the trees.
Oh.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is my bone splinter.
I'm
Maybe
just
not
angry to
Alaska.
chop now.
I'm cool with like Colorado. I want it to be a little colder.
Well,
that'd be nice.
The
yeah.
thing is, it's night like 6 months there. It's like dark
Alaska,
a lot
yeah.
up in Alaska, right? And that appeals to me.
Oh, nice.
And also sometimes there's the lights up in the sky. I'm like, that's cool too.
There's the
But Matt-
lights. What do they call those, Matt?
The Aurora Borealis.
Okay,
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, no, I know what they are.
I know you know what they are. I just like that you said so simply. Then they got those
little
those
up there.
lights.
I'm simplifying
They're
it so people understand more why I want to go
sorry.
there.
Why speak big word when small word do trick?
Matt, I'll tell you, scientifically, they're called the Aurora Borealis. Now, what's happening is aliens are farting so hard that we're seeing the streams cover our planet.
It's like, when an airplane drops the poop.
It's like that. And then Joe Dirt finds it, and the movie starts.
Except it burns up in the atmosphere and makes the Aurora
I know. I felt bad about referencing Joe Dirt, too.
Oh, I have no problem. I was just thinking of him eating the fries, ketchup off the turd.
Did you guys see the sequel?
No.
I couldn't get. I tried.
I tried,
It was
yeah.
What was
filmed
it?
so poorly.
Dirtier, Joe Dirt.
It was just Joe Dirt
just
2.
getting
I wanna
dirtier.
Say it was on.
I don't.
Netflix, but it wasn't like a Happy Madison film. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where does Joe Dirt take place?
Anywhere.
Like all around, right?
That's where we should move our office to.
Yeah.
Wherever that happens. That's where I want. That's where
I
we're
remember
going.
watching that movie when I was supposed to be doing like a paper. Like
Time well spent.
essentially like I had to do like a 5-page paper for like school the next day. And my grandma was like, okay, go ahead and do it. And I'm like, all right, let's see what's on. Oh, Joe Dirt. I'll leave that up in the background
He'll
while I
learn me
write.
something good. Yeah.
And I just was watching Joe Dirt.
Did it influence the way you wrote?
Got a B. So
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I'm gonna say I could have gotten the A if it wasn't for Joe.
Oh.
I like to imagine Matt's teacher was like, this is really good, but it sounds like David Spade wrote this.
Well, I had some inspiration.
Every time I write a paper, I listen to Joe Dirt.
I'll also say, because I was thinking about it earlier, but going back to like media that we think is like random as hell, Gen Z humor, I think that also is very reminiscent of Joe Dirt. There's a story there, but not really.
Not like, yeah.
Same with like Freddie Got Fingered. That's very much in the same vein of humor and like, what the fuck am I watching this? And that was pre-internet, at least, right? It had to have been.
I think
Freddie
so.
Got Fingered?
Yeah.
I think that was 90s.
Definitely early internet, because Tom Green was definitely like
The Tom Green was
more
a thing.
experimental person. So like
Yeah.
if he would, he definitely. Well, I think
Well,
he's
yeah,
been
the
doing more
MTV
internet
show.
stuff. Yeah, but
My
yeah,
bum
it's-
is on the rail.
I don't know.
remember.
I never saw
Was
it.
your teacher like, you get a B for this one. This isn't nearly as good as your Dickie Roberts. That's on paper you turned in last week.
Yeah. You titled that one, It's Nuck and Futz.
That was an A. Yeah. That one was truly Nuck and Futz. This one,
Not so much.
Just me.
I forgot about that movie.
Goodness.
Damn.
We all try to forget.
But he had a mullet sewed onto his head.
So
How could you not give
that's
me
Nuck
that
and
back?
Futz.
Yeah, Blaine did the same thing in the last laugh. Come on.
He sewed it on.
Goodness.
Rough.
I feel like there's no better way to end this podcast, unless y'all have some final thoughts, anything you want to throw out into the universe.
I've just appreciated seeing more David Spade pop up here and there because
He's having a renaissance right now.
yeah, and he's still like very funny. Like he showed up on TikTok and he showed up on.
He's good at social media.
Bachelor in Paradise. I want
great.
him to be the perma host because he was fucking killing me.
I think they probably couldn't afford him. He was
Probably.
phenomenal. He was easily the
Yeah.
best host on Bachelor in Paradise.
liked
yeah.
Emperor's New Groove. That was great. Let's bring that up.
Absolutely.
He had that run on TV where he was on like sitcoms forever.
It was Just Shoot Me Face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, Just Shoot Me. He replaced what's his face on 8 Simple Rules when he died, John Ritter. I think he showed up on that show to like anchor it. Yeah.
Was that
So
8 Simple Rules
he was-
for dating my teenage daughter?
Yeah,
Am I-
8 Simple Rules.
Okay.
Who was Kelly Cuoco, I think, right?
Well, there's eight simple rules for dating my teenage daughter. 10 things I hate about you.
Right.
There's cheaper by the dozen. There's a lot of numbers.
numbers.
Going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got confused.
I know that last one.
what do you think his weirdest role was, David Spade?
A llama man.
No.
I'm going to throw out, it's not.
Okay.
His weirdest role to me is Sparks the Dragonfly.
Really?
From like that second Spyro trilogy. they
No
did.
shit.
Yeah.
What?
Now, let me double check, but I think he was replaced by Wayne Brady.
That's awesome.
So, weird casting.
Wayne Brady's a
But,
good voice actor, though. I bet.
He is.
He's a very expressive, emotive kind of guy.
Yeah, he was voiced by David Spade originally, Billy West in Eternal Night, and
That's
then
surprising.
Wayne
So-
Brady in Dawn
That's
of the
so-
Dragon.
that's good
This
company,
is the
though.
same character.
Yeah. So is it really that weird of a role? Because he kind of carved it out.
I guess. I mean, it's a
Your
weird. 'cause
preconceived notions
My
are
preconceived
changing
notion
what
is
they
that
thought.
he never could speak. He was a dragonfly, but then they made him David Spade, and he became Wayne Brady. So there's some evolution there that I don't quite understand for a dragonfly.
Pokemon there is Dragonfly, David Spade. Wayne. Okay. We got it.
We
That's
got
the mega evolution. Goodness.
But
He
that's
went to
my
save
part
in
of
all
the thought.
three.
Yeah, of
Was
course.
David Spade.
Jeff, David Spade as well.
Well, can I just say, it's been at least 2 years since I've been on this podcast, and I just want to say thanks for the invite. I've been waiting. Been waiting
You have
forever.
not been waiting. You've been
Been
recording
waiting.
Fuckface.
Waiting for
You
you
were
guys
at the
to send me
bleep
an
that
invite.
for me.
It's been every day, every week. I'm like, maybe this is the week I get to be back on that
Concurrent to
show. I
this
used to be
show.
on.
Got the feet.
But also, we didn't invite because you know why.
Anyway, I just said thanks for the invite. I look forward to doing this again
You
in 2
started
years.
on the podcast 7 years ago, and this is the first thing we do. Make a ruckus. Ridiculous. Anyways.
The Queen didn't want you.
That's fair.
And the Queen says it's the end of the show, but she will remind you, this is the Queen talking, not Lindsay, by the way. We're live throughout the week on RTTV, and if you're watching live, stick around for the post-team does stuff. What are they doing today? I don't know. Farting. Likely.
And being bad.
Eating the world.
You are so good at voices.
So thanks. Yeah.
Have you
really
ever
are.
considered voice acting?
You really.
That about it.
You should.
I was talking about that the other day. Fucking just, who knew that you would end up being like the fucking virtuoso that you were when in that first Ruby trailer.
Someone knew.
Thanks.
You know? Well, obviously Monty knew, right?
Someone knew.
Obviously Monty knew. But
Shout out.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a parting word. Shout out, Monty.
shout out.
Yeah.
I do.